What's up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Baltimore Sports, Baltimore Orioles edition. We are going to be live tonight, streaming across multiple platforms, brought to you by Great H Memorabilia in Parkville, Maryland. Let me bring on my co-host for the evening, the BWATB Orioles correspondent, Tim Malarkey. Tim, what is going on, my man?
What is going on, brother man? I don't know. Orioles baseball. Nice solid start.
Yes, it has
Little
been. It's been a very good start.
little bit of a taper here and there, but hey, I'll take it. Currently right now, sitting at 3-1, although as I'm looking at it right now, heading into the bottom of the sixth behind on the Royals. We'll see.
Yeah, we talked all day long. We weren't, overly optimistic with Cole Irvin starting. Um, it's been a up and down start to the major league season, especially with dropping one at home against a very bad Angels team, and um, it's just been mostly good. Other than that loss, Jordan Westbrook had the walk-off home run last night. Today's lineup was a little bit of a eyebrow raiser. We talked about that when they dropped when they dropped the lineup. You initially texted me, and you were like, "Wow, okay, O'Hearn in right field, Kemp at second, Cowser in left." So they had taken Urias and uh, Hayes out of the lineup. So I guess we can start there for what's going on right now.
Yeah, I initially texted you, of course, when I saw that lineup. The O'Hearn was an eyebrow raiser, and it already cost us essentially tonight. Your typical fly ball, probably 6-7 feet from the wall, making a break and run at it. O'Hearn had quite the non-athletic looking jump at it and totally missed it. Would have definitely been a Santandy easy catch, but hey, I think Hyde's at the point now where he's trying things out, trying to figure out ways he can work in some of our depth. I was more so excited, obviously, about the Moo Man himself, Colton Cowser, getting his start. I mean, I think that kid, if he were to be a person that plays every day, he's good enough, Matt, where he could be in the talk, the consideration. Like I said, if he played every day for Rookie of the Year, I think he's that good of a player. Now that's a long shot, but I seriously think Cowser is that quality of a player. He just has to get the consistent starts.
Yeah, I do agree with you though, Tim. Cowser deserves to get the at bats, and I was kind of shocked that out of everybody they took out of the lineup was going to be uh, Hayes. I mean, I know Hayes is not having the hottest start, but with
No.
Hayes being out of the lineup, it's kind of a detriment to our defense. And I guess we're still early enough in the season where you can kind of tinker with your starting nine a little bit, like you just were talking about. But it still doesn't make sense to me as to why they took Hayes out, even though it's a right-handed pitcher. And O'Hearn is nowhere near as defensively sound as Hayes or Cowser, for that matter, or even Santander. So it just didn't make sense how Hyde trotted this lineup out here today.
No, I agree. I think he's working some things out. Ideally, how I had drawn it up was Hayes still in there, and then just a Colton Cowser Santander switch, so to say, where you see Santandy being the designated hitter and Colton playing right field. I think this might be a little bit of a translation that Hyde wants Cowser out there to kind of start working on that wall a little bit. I mean, it is backed with the fact you already mentioned it. Hayes having a rough start. It's a lot rougher than I think people realize because he is that household name of Hayes. But I mean, he's 2-15, 2 for 15 to start the year. That's rough. It's not Ramon Urias rough where you're batting 0 for 10. I digress, but it's I mean, I think we're just seeing Hyde trying to start early on what he's going to do, where he's going to do it. The problem that I have with that is sometimes, like I think we might have seen tonight with O'Hearn, is you can get a little too cute sometimes. But I mean, I trust in the guy. I just feel like I don't know how. I don't personally. I'm not, I'm not a professional manager or anything. I just don't think O'Hearn has no reason to be anywhere near that right field. But hey, who am I?
Yeah, I think I think a part of it might just be the opponents we have in this first week where Hyde's like, okay, we're not in the thick of, it's not like we're in June and he's, tinkering with this lineup. I think, and I'm not trying to be, a Debbie Downer about any of this, but I think the allure of O'Hearn and having him be the pinch hit wonder that he was last year, now that he's going to have consistent reps, it's a little bit different now. He's going to be seeing better pitching as opposed to, teams that are deep into their bullpen late in games.
Yep. No, I agree. And he has a bigger role to fill. And it's with O'Hearn, it's kind of strange. It's not strange. It's hard to figure out because he's good enough and he's quality enough, and being a platoon at first base for when Mountcastle needs a break, like his value is there. But then, it just, like we've talked about before, it burns me when I look at the list and I see, we have Stowers and Cowser and Mayo, and especially Mayo at that, spot where it's like, are we at the point of the year now, like right at the beginning, where Hyde is just sticking with his veterans that he knows what he's going to get and he's going to experiment later? I talked to another guy who said, why not experiment now? And it's tough to do that with veterans. You start the season off with, you can't start the season off with them in the minors. They're your tried and true. And my only thing is you said it, with him trying it now against these, technically weaker, easier teams, is that's this whole month. I mean, after this Royals, we go to the Pirates, and I think the Pirates might get slept on a little bit. I think they're better than what they are on paper, but at the same time, like, this month of June is just about as easy as it's going to get all year for us. So I have a feeling, just based off of tonight's lineup, that we might see some goofy, some weird, some strange things, from Hyde, just experimenting while the dust is still up in the air and there's nothing settled yet.
Yeah, I understand that, but isn't that what spring training's for?
It is.
And it irritates me that they're deciding that, they're going to do all these experiments with these guys. And I get it. It's the first week where, but we put up 24 runs in the first two games with all of our starters, with the guys that we're expecting to be in there for 9 innings. We put up 13 on opening day, and it's like, it's just agitation is setting in already. And then we both follow the Orioles minor league teams on social media, and Jackson
already had a
Holiday hit
blast.
another leadoff. He hit a bomb, absolute bomb, about an hour ago. Not even an hour ago. And then you see that Mayo and Kerstad and Stowers, they're all hitting above 400 their first week of the minor league season. And here we are sitting through mediocrity in our outfield, with the exception of Santander.
Yeah, no, I know it stings a little, and I play with it all the time, like I've talked to you about, and I do, and it's just, we don't have room, and it's, when are we going to have room? It doesn't seem like there's any confidence to open up any spots for these guys, and I'm kind of on the side of, and I've been argued this before by all kinds of Orioles fans up and down, that why not try it now? Why not try it now? Make some room, move some people in. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words with it. I think that after about a month of this, we'll be able to tell what the front office's sort of MO is, if it's win now or if we're still not full swinging yet, which is strange to me because, I mean, we got Burns on a 1-year deal. So I don't know. Bullpen, like Zach just said in the comments, is a major concern right now with Perez being out, even before Perez going out. So I think we'll see by the end of this month, hopefully maybe into next month, if the front office is, like I said, in win now mode, or if we're still thinking long-term 26, 27.
And this isn't the kind of roster that you think long-term and short, come up on the short end with the current, present product. We won 83 games when nobody expected us to win 72 a couple years ago. Then we win 101 last year. Now the expectation in Baltimore is not another 101 win season. They want to build on that. Every major publication and every major sports network that covers baseball has us in the top 3, the top 5 at the lowest.
Yep.
Our farm system is nationally ranked as one of the best. We now have one of the best facilities in the Dominican. We have a presence in the international market now. All these things are going well for us. And I hate that we're talking about this so early, Tim, because it's only game 5, which is going on right now.
Right.
But if you take the averages of Stowers or Kerstad or Jackson Holiday and you plug them into the major league lineup, and even if you chop it by 100 percentage points, that's still 10 times better than what we're getting now. I love Jorge Mateo's ability to play multiple positions. He is not an everyday player.
No.
I love Urias's defense. He's a good late game substitute. He can play anywhere in the infield. That he could probably play first base if you wanted him to. But what I'm saying is he is an automatic out.
He is. He's a liability.
When he comes up, even when I was there opening day and I was texting you while I was there, Urias is an automatic out. If it's like you look at him up on the big board and he's coming up, that's going to be a situation where chances are he's going to strike out or he's going to pop out. You don't have any faith, and he was hitting the cover off the ball. But that was what, 3 years ago at this point.
Yep. And that's why I was overly joyed to see him out of the lineup tonight. Like, finally, we're done taking stabs with this guy for right now. I'm sure he'll be back in there tomorrow, but knowing, how it goes. But I mean, I sent you this text earlier today, and it's like, I just, O'Hearn, you keep around as a bench platoon guy. Mateo, same thing. You need him, just utility guy. The base stealing potential that's there, can play just about everywhere left of the mound. Like, I don't know why you don't have one of those 5 guys that you mentioned, whether it be Kierstead, Stowers, Holiday. I just don't. I don't get it. Why? I mean, I do get it. I get the business side of it, but I'm past that. I want to win. I want to put the best player on the field, and Urias isn't it. I know you have to keep McCann in there because you need that backup for Adley, but I drew up that dream lineup for you and sent it to you of where my brain was at right now, and I had Gunnar at 1, Adley at 2, Santander at 3, Mountie at 4, Holiday at 5. Kobe Mayo is hitting the absolute leather off the ball. As a DH right now, I would just like the power behind that kid it's wild. Seti, I still keep him in the lineup. It seems like everything he's doing right now is just a pop up. It's just pop up after pop up after pop up. Westberg, we don't even have to go there. That walk-off last night has been a long time coming for that guy. He worked his absolute tail off because he was disappointed with himself and how he came out last year. And he sort of had a point to prove. And he has that attitude this year, and I think it's translating well, and we're seeing it. I guess time will tell. I'm tired of waiting, and I hear you, and I feel like that we're beating a dead horse that we keep talking about this, but it's like we have so much talent of people that are literally batting over 400 right now, but yet we're still sending Urias and Mateo out there in starting roles.
And another thing that's frustrating is, I believe Zach mentioned it, and so did Mark, pitching. We got to get some of these guys either on the major league roster and trade some of these veterans for a proven arm. I really think that we need to add a bullpen arm more so than a rotation arm at this point. And I'll justify that by saying after Wells got roughed up a little bit early, he settled in and he had a pretty good game. Even though we lost, he still settled in. After that rough start, he settled in. In our bullpen, there's nobody but that we can trust. If one of the starters can't go 6, who's going to get that 5th and 6th inning done to where you can get to Cano? Cano can pitch 7 and 8, or Colum can pitch the 7th, or however you want to slice and dice that up. Kimbrel blew his first save the other night. He was more pissed off about it than anybody else. I prematurely said he was going to have a great year. I still think he is too, but he got roughed up too, and we ended up winning on the walk-off. But the bullpen is severely lacking arms. It's severely lacking arms, Tim. And as much as some of us get attached to the names, and some of these guys were here through the rebuild, and some of these guys were here on that 101 win team last year, I understand about developing talent in the minors, but at this point, your minors are absolutely stacked.
It's unreal.
It's unreal. But at the end of the day, minor league wins don't really mean a whole lot. That's where these guys go to learn how to play Major League Baseball.
They don't mean a damn thing.
I don't care about a Northeast or a Southeast division title. I don't care if the Norfolk Tide win 100 games. That's not the Orioles. So there's guys down in the farm right now like McDermott and Povich, who are starters, where they could be in the pen as long guys or middle relief, and they could face major league pitchers, major league hitters, and get some valuable innings. I don't want to hear about, we don't want to hurt their feelings, or we don't want to do this or that. We want to make sure that they're, going to be starters on the major league club. Povich is in his mid-20s now.
Yep.
What are you waiting for? Get Povich in the bullpen. Get McDermott in the bullpen. If they don't do well, you got all their options.
Yeah, you could take Webb and pull him out and bring one of them in. And then what's the worst case scenario? You're putting Webb back in. It doesn't get. We have Jonathan Haseley is in our bullpen right now. You're telling me that Povich and McDermott.
And 95% of our listeners don't even know who that is. They don't even know who really Webb is.
Right.
But my whole concern is you want to put the best 26 people on this roster. You want to put the best 26 ball players on this roster, because it looks like right now the Yankees are going to be a pretty good team this year.
Yeah, I agree.
The Blue Jays are going to be a pretty good team this year. The Rays are always sneaky good. So if we just think that we're just going to waltz through another 100-win season with Ramon Urias at second base, or Jorge Mateo at second base for 115 or 120 of those games, we're sadly mistaken.
Yep. No, I mean, and I think we got a little excited. We got off to a hot start. I mean, we had 11 runs on 10 hits in game 1. We had 13 runs on 14 hits in game 2. And then game 3, you turn around and we have 1 run on 3 hits. So we can't say our offense is going to carry us, because clearly that's not the case. I mean, here we are in the top of the 8th right now, and we have 1 run against the Royals. So it's
at home against the Royals in a dead stadium.
Exactly.
I mean, I know the weather plays a part to it, and it's Tuesday night, but they need to stop fooling around, because you don't want to be heading into June and you're in 3rd place in the AL East, or even in 2nd place in the AL East. You want to be dominant. You want to build. The rebuild is over.
Yep. Like D just said in our comment section, it's not going to happen unless we put the best guys out there.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And Zach just alluded to it. It's another reason you want to see the kids out there. Nobody's going to come to the ballpark on a Tuesday night if they know you're having Tony Kemp at second base, If they know you're going to have Ryan O'Hearn playing right field,
Right, yeah.
and they know you're playing a shitty team like the Royals who are beating us again, and it's like, okay, why am I going to spend all my hard-earned money and take my family to the ballpark when the kids I want to see are down in Norfolk?
Yep. I'll be the first to admit it. I got Norfolk tickets, Matt. I have never been to a Tides game. Guess where I want to go? I want to go see a Tides. I get to go watch 5 potential freaks of nature down there right now. It's like the A team of minor league baseball. But you said it earlier, Matt, like no one cares about AAA and winning it. It's the same thing translates to college basketball. Does anyone care who wins the NIT tournament? Do people watch that? Does it matter? No. We're talking about a World Series and being able to do it now. I want to do it now. I want the best players on the team. I mean, that's literally as simple as it is. I think our strongest point right now is the fact that we have a deadly 1-2 punch with Burns and Grayson. And it just so happens that on those 2 games with that 1-2 punch, our offense happened to put up, have 24 runs or hits in the first 2 games. And then all of a sudden, here comes Tyler Wells and the offense flatlines. Tonight, all of a sudden, here comes Cole Irvin, the offense flatlines. It's all about momentum, and think about the momentum change, the atmosphere when you have a couple of those so-called baby birds on the roster.
You're right, and we're not going to win many games if all they're going to do is hit for Burns and G-Rod, because at that point you almost got to think like, oh well, we might as well try them out there every 4 days and then burn them out. It's not gonna make a difference. I've been telling you this since we started the concept of doing the Orioles show. Snell and Montgomery right now look like a bargain for what we're trotting out there right now.
Yep.
And then Means, like you said in our text message, thread earlier today, Means looks like he's throwing beer league softball practice.
He does.
He's a couple years ago before his injury, he was throwing 95, 96, maybe hitting 96 on the radar gun, which is good. His stuff moves. He gets hurt, has a setback last year. Now they're reporting on 105.7 The Fan that he was hitting 91, 92. Mm-hmm. And if AAA ball players are got him for 6 or 7 runs in the first inning of his first rehab start, what makes you think he's going to come up to the major league level and be able to get away with that? He's going to get absolutely smoked.
Oh, he's going to get clobbered.
He's going to get clobbered. And I said it to you earlier, and I love Means because he was here through the rebuild. I love John Means. I've always been a John Means fan, even when I'm critical of him. At this point, he might be best served as a long man out of the bullpen, to where he can give you a couple innings every night in that 6th, 7th inning role, or every other night. But that absolutely terrifies me if he's going to come up here to the major league level, not being 100%, and then he's going to get absolutely rocked. Yep. That doesn't give me any confidence. It's almost nerve-wracking, because after Burns and G-Rod, we literally have a bunch of okay. Kramer won 13, 14 games, something like that last year, but Kramer looked like he got hurt last night.
He did. It was his non-throwing elbow that he grabbed, but at the same time, any kind of injury to a pitcher, I mean, those guys are they're a balancing act, and like anything on you not feeling right, anything to distract you, those guys are so locked in that, I mean, it's still an injury. It's still a big deal. And I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I'm knocking on wood. A lot of people might not believe it, but Kramer's a big part of this rotation right now. He's an innings eater, or at least that's what his role was going or is going to be. You can't, I mean, we just put Irvin out there for 4 innings. That can't happen.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I mean, like the scheduled starters for the Pirates series coming up, it's Wells, Kramer, Irvin. And that's saying that the game tomorrow doesn't get rained out. If it does, then, Burns will get pushed. But I don't think the Pirates are, shaking in their boots to hear Wells, Kramer, and Irvin are coming in for a series. Like, I don't know. But Matt, you touched on this let me pick your brain a little bit here, and you want to go out and grab a bullpen guy. What if we went out and grabbed a starter, and then that translated to either Wells or Irvin falling to the bullpen to be that long guy? Because maybe not so much Irvin with the 4 innings we got tonight, but I mean Wells, I've always said from the beginning it would be a perfect long guy for the bullpen.
I believe that would be a lot better for us.
Ooh, I gotta pause you. We gotta update. Stowers and Heston just went yard.
Fantastic. I don't need to go down that long road again. But when it comes to the pitching, I'll be honest. I want this Irvin experiment to end. And I'm not saying that on the heels because he just threw a shitty game, but he was the only pitcher that was consistently getting roughed up last year. He was up and down between the farm and the big league club. This has got to end. This is you need to put competent starters out there. This is not the type of season where you want your young guys to get their to lick their wounds. We are coming off of 101 win season. We have aspirations for a World Series title in this city. The fact that they're trotting out Irvin, still trying to convince us that he is a logical starting rotation pitcher, where if you put him on 25 other teams right now, he's probably not starting. He may not even be a bullpen arm. He's probably in AAA on 25 other teams right now. And we shouldn't be operating like that.
No, we shouldn't. When my buddy joked the other day, he goes, "You realize that there's 3 potential $200 million guys on the Orioles right now? I mean, you have Gunnar, Adley, and then Holiday. That's it, and that's the talent we're working with. Not to mention the 5 guys that are sitting in the minors right now, clobbering home runs as we speak, and we're sending Cole Irvin out there as our 5th guy in the rotation. We have a dude in our bullpen that probably wouldn't pitch at most D1 schools. Like, it's unbelievable."
And let me tell you this. Your friend is right about the $200 million for Adley and the $200 million for Jackson, but double that for Gunnar. Gunner's a $400 million guy. There's no doubt in my mind. This dude is off to a hot start. He is consistent. I know he had an error in the field yesterday, but that might be the only one he makes for a while. His errors are very far and few between. But yeah, we can't play around with this because we're gonna have to pay these guys eventually.
Exactly.
I think we need to hurry up and ink Burns.
Yep.
And I've seen him start one game.
Now, the sad thing is, and I'm just trying to be a realist about it, and I've thought about it, is that if I put those 3 guys' names on a list, of course, we haven't seen Holiday in the majors yet, but, I already am confident in what he's going to give us. And we're looking at Adley, Gunnar, and Holiday. My first thing is extend, pay Gunnar. My second thing is choose between Adley and Holiday. And I think that's what it's going to boil down to. I would be overly joyed if we had a way or found a way to retain all 3 of them. I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. But we shouldn't even be having this question because we could have all 3 of them on the same team playing together right now.
You're right. And the thing that pisses me off is that I'm still stuck in the mindset of being an Orioles fan under the Angelos ownership. And by all accounts, this billionaire Rubenstein seems like he wants to come in and spend money, but you got to show us, bud. And, I see my father-in-law's comment right now. Gunnar will be wearing pinstripes. I will have a episode if I ever see Gunnar wearing any other jersey but an Orioles jersey. He should be the next lifelong Oriole, in the same vein as Cal, in the same vein as, Adam Jones to a certain extent, even though I know he played in Arizona for his last year, but Gunner's a lifelong Oriole to me. I know we're kind of getting off the topic a little bit. It's Zach said he gave him 15 for 425 right now. Just bite the bullet. His agent won't bite the bullet. He might.
No.
His agent won't. Zach also mentioned another arm, and you and I have talked about him too. He's radioactive to almost every club in the league. Trevor Bauer deserves to be on a major league team. He was vindicated from everything he was accused of doing, and the dude was embarrassing major league hitters as late as last week. So if you insert Trevor Bauer into this baseball team, it might mess up the chemistry a tiny bit. And I don't even think it would, but he's instantly your number 2. Or if you want to be facetious, okay, he's number 3 behind G-Rod, because you and I both know Bradish ain't coming back this year.
No, he's not. And I agree with you on the Bauer thing, simply on skill. I actually told you this, but I'll let our viewers know my opinion on it, is that I think Bauer, the front office would have made moves on him, even with the allegations. I think what really kind of spoiled it for them is the Orioles have been known to be kind of like a first-class organization in baseball. And then he got to tweeting. His Twitter thumbs went crazy. He did a couple interviews where he kind of just had that Mad Hatter vibe to him. And I think that it is a PR nightmare waiting to happen for the Orioles. And I think that, along with many other teams, is obviously what's stopping him from being signed. Now, I think skill-wise, absolutely. I think he would probably definitely push Grayson out of that second spot, just based on what he's been, who he is and what he's been doing. He's there. You sent me a name, and I'll let you bring this in, of another name that's kind of something I would like to tickle with a feather.
Michael Lorenzen.
Exactly.
He seems like the lesser of two evils in terms of PR. Now, he's just up there in age a little bit, and I know he's our age in real life, but when you're talking about sports and athletics, mid-30s is like, being one step closer to the cemetery.
Especially with pitchers. Pitchers are, they hit their stride later.
They do, and it's obvious, because Scherzer and Verlander are still going strong. Kershaw's still going strong. You can pitch into your late 30s, early 40s.
Yep.
Not everybody can do it effectively. I think Bartolo Colon pitched until he was like 43.
I love that man so much.
Yeah. That was like me playing baseball. Like, he's built just like me, and he was a fantastic hitter and pitcher. But I digress. I feel like we need to add another arm sooner rather than later, just to put the fan base at ease, to put ourselves at ease. Elias is obviously doing something right. He's in the last 2 years, we've won almost 190 games. So I'm not going to say that this man doesn't know what he's doing, because he obviously does. He brought this entire intricate system from Houston. It's working over here. It hasn't paid off in the World Series yet. I believe it will. But when you got guys on your roster like Webb and Heasley and Urias and Mateo and Irvin, you got guys knocking at the door, bud. This is crazy that we're even talking about this, and to know that we're now, down and against the Royals because Irvin couldn't last 4 innings, and the bullpen's going to get tired out if they got to do this 3 starts in a row in between, Corbin and G-Rod. They can each give us 6 or 7. Yep. As long as they're on, and between both of them, I think they had what, 22, 23 strikeouts. So if they can give you 6 and anywhere close to double-digit strikeouts, that's a good night. But this bullpen's going to get taxed immediately, and you can't expect Bauman and Colomb and Perez is hurt, like you said earlier. It's just it does not seem very. It seems counterproductive to let this team go as is and just think that April's a throwaway month.
No, I No, I hear you, and I agree. And I think another thing that we're overlooking because, we made a big acquisition for him is Kimbrel. I mean, I know he technically on paper had the blown save. I will say, it was a single, then a stolen base, and then a sacrifice. So that's unfortunate. You know what I mean? To get that one run in, but it's too early to tell what kind of Craig we're going to have. And you take that out of the factor, like you forget about that. And then you go back to who's going to be the long guy to even get us to him. Well, if you get us to him, is he even the guy yet? So it's just, we're in bullpen hell right now. And I think a lot of people want to, not be pessimistic and want to, say, oh, it's too early to tell, but not to toot my own horn. I watch a lot of baseball, and I've watched a lot of baseball for a long time. And it's not a pretty situation in the Baltimore bullpen right now. It's just really not.
It gives you cause for concern. I don't care if we're 5 games into the season. We could be 5 games. You could be 2 games into the season, but it's clear as day that the bullpen is our most obvious weak link. And I don't even trust Cano fully.
No. And that's the thing. What you just said, I don't know why my brain did it, but the bullpen being our weak link, that needs to be your strongest link in the chain in the postseason. So it's, other than having an offense that can hit the ball, which we have, it's just your bullpen in order to make a run in the playoffs. And I know it's early, Matt, but I can already see the warning signs. That's what we need. And as Mark just said, why wasn't the pitching addressed in spring training? Is they settled in with their Corbin Burns and then their Craig Kimbrel. They were like, yo, we just went out here and we got these 2 guys. Look at us. And then they came in, and Means was a month behind schedule for what they expected him to be.
And they knew Bradish was hurt before camp even opened.
And then Bradish. They didn't tell us about Bradish. They knew about Bradish ahead of time. But I think when the moves were made, they might have been looking at it like, hey, this, 1, 2, 3 of Burns, Bradish, and G-Rod is going to get the job done, and then boom. And that's why I'm surprised that as soon as that they knew about Bradish, another move wasn't made. But, who was available? Montgomery, bang.
Yeah, and you got Snell and Montgomery staring you in the face like you can sign one of these guys and just fix this goddamn problem, and we don't have anything to worry about. We can survive having to rely on Kramer, Wells, and Irvin being, kind of like tag team in that last 2 spots in the rotation if you want to, fiddle with them in that way. And here we are, like, okay, let me go to the lineup for a second. We got 6 guys that can hit, like legitimately hit. You got Gunnar, you got Adley, you got Santander, you got Mountcastle, and you got Westberg that can hit. And, well, maybe 5. If you want to throw O'Hearn in there, you can. But the bottom of our lineup is almost the same as bullpen. It's very unreliable, Tim.
It is. It is, and it's a concern. And I think it was maybe Zach said it in the comments earlier, is that the offense, in order to bolster this issue that we're having now, they have to produce. They have to produce. And to be honest, the first 2 games of the season, I was like, okay, here we go. This is what we've waiting for. Then we had that 3rd game against the Angels, and they kind of flatlined. And to be honest, I was at the opener, I was at the Saturday game, and then I was there again last night. And I don't know. They looked flat last night. I don't know if it's a weather thing. These guys are just coming up out of Florida, all nice and warm with, suntans on their neck and used to that, and then they get this chilly cold. I could see my breath all last night, and I'm looking at it now, and they can see their breath tonight too. So I'd like to think that weather has something to do with it, but this offense that we saw in Game 3 and the one that we're seeing tonight is the one-run game is not going to cut it.
It's not. And I know I mentioned the bottom of the lineup, but that is the fixes for that are in-house. You have an in-house full-time DH / third baseman with Mayo. He can play both corners in the infield. He can play a little bit of corner outfield. Mayo can hit in that DH if you wanted to keep Santander in right field, or you just slide Kaiser over to right and make Santander the full-time DH. And if you're not going to bring Jackson up, you can bring Mayo up, and he can play third base. Westberg can play second, and you still got a very formidable hitting infield. But our fixes with the bats are in-house, which is what frustrates me the most. You got a AAA team that can probably hit substantially in a substantial manner against probably 15 to 20 major league rotations. You got AAA. Our AAA team is nothing but guys that should be in the majors or guys that just can't crack the line because of the talent in front of them. And the pitching, we don't have a whole lot in the minors in terms of prospects, but like I told you earlier, it could be Povich and McDermott coming up here and getting some experience. And then we're not even talking about one guy in the minors that is hitting the ball as hard as humanly possible. Was Dylan Beavers. I know he's a little bit farther away than the rest of those guys, but even if you want to wait a couple more years, Beavers is going to be up on the major league team as a DH or a corner outfielder. But like everybody in the comments has been saying, like we've been talking about, you can't play all these guys. All these guys aren't going to be major leaguers in Baltimore.
No, they're not.
So and the only thing that worries me now, Tim, is that teams are going to know that we're desperate because we're a good team now. And everybody knows we're a good team. So if we come calling for a starting pitcher from somebody,
it's going to cost us.
The first thing they're going to do is mention Jackson Holiday, which is going to be a non-starter. Then they're going to say, "Oh, well, you can have whoever you want. We'll take Kerstad and Stowers, or Kerstad and Mullins, or Kerstad and
Mountcastle,
or Mount." But I think they love Mountcastle. If they didn't love Mountcastle would have been moved a year or two ago. But Mountcastle seems like he might be the long-term first baseman / DH on this team. He's still relatively young. He's got some controllable years left still, and I see Mountcastle staying here before Santander, and I love Santander. I think Santander is the unsung leader of this baseball team.
No, we've been mentioning him all night, and I wanted to interject earlier. I just think Tony is, secretly flying under the radar and is the MVP of this team right now. I mean, the guy's got a smile on his face. He hits the brakes off of the ball. Like, the energy that he brings to the stadium is awesome when you see it in person. And I think he needs to be a lock. While we were just talking, by the way, our boy Jonathan Heasley just pegged Bobby Witt Jr. and then got a rundown started between first and second on a steal. We did get the out, though, but he no one, half the people probably listening to us or that will listen to us don't even know who that guy is. And to be honest, that's how I feel about him too. But we just saw, what happens, what transpires when you have no help in the bullpen. You have guys like that making your start. But sorry for interrupting there. I can't get past.
You're fine. That's exactly what you're here for.
Yeah.
That's, you're the O's guy. So and you happen to be watching the game right now. I'm down in the basement right now. I don't have a TV down here, but it's one of those situations where we are going to sit here and we can probably continuously beat this dead horse until these guys do something that makes a noticeable difference. If I have to look at my phone every night for the next week or two and see Stowers and Kerstad and Mayo and Holiday just hitting the cover off the ball, and they're all batting over 400.
All four of those names that you just mentioned, by the way, Matt,
hit a home run tonight.
They all have a home run tonight.
All of them. Every single one of them has a home run tonight. And it gives me indigestion that I'm sitting here thinking to myself, wow, they could be hitting home runs in Camden Yards right now. And it's like, you got
Tune
them
in
down.
next week, folks, for your Norfolk Tides coverage.
Yeah. It's such a crapshoot. The minor leagues is such a crapshoot. It's about developing your guys to make them Major League Baseball players. And the fact that they want to stockpile like all these arms and these bats in the minors, it's like you're stockpiling, weaponry for a war that may never come.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All these guys aren't going to be here. If this was a true rebuild, all those guys would be up here, and Hayes and Mullins would be gone.
Hayes
And
would be
even
gone.
Santander might
Mullins
be
would
gone.
be gone. Yep. Tony would probably be gone.
If this was a true rebuild, but I think that 83 win and then that 101 win season, that kept these guys around. That kept them around for so long. And I will die on this hill that they should have probably all been out of here a year ago, 2 years ago. And we love them because we grow attached to these guys.
It even gets deeper than that. You could have No McCann and Basayo being your reliever behind Adley. You could have No O'Hearn and Mayo being your platoon guy. Like you could have, it's wild.
Yeah, we might be wasting these guys' prime potential in AAA, and that is a disservice to not only the team itself but to the fans. We sat through misery for 14 years in the late 90s and into the 2000s and the 2010s. We had a little glimpse for a couple years where we were a good baseball team again, and then we sat through 100 lost seasons. We sat through that pitiful COVID season. And now here you have these young kids that are ready to be major league players. Jackson Holliday is going to be a perennial all-star. He's going to be a perennial gold glove caliber defender. Stowers showed that he can hit at this level. Kerstad can hit at this level. Our outfield should honestly be Kowser in center, Kerstad in right, and Stowers in left. If you want to be technical about it.
And what's wild is I would be totally comfortable with that, and I would also be totally comfortable with their bats in our lineup.
Exactly. And then you could have Mayo in DH or at third base instead of Urias or O'Hearn. I get that these guys mean something to us. It's the emotional attachment, but these guys are holding up spots for legitimate major league talent. And I don't want to sit there and see the Orioles boast about the Norfolk Tide losing one game in the month of April because I might just scream.
You mean Tony Kemp's not who you want to see on
Tony Kemp is just another guy in a long line of major league players that is a super utility guy that the Orioles overvalue. And for what? Like I don't hate the guy because I don't even know him. He's been an Oriole for 5 games, but we got to see Tony Kemp play second base while Jackson Holliday has a 500 batting average and 2 home runs and almost in double figures in RBIs in 5 fucking games. Excuse my language, but that's just absolutely insane to me, man. It's absolutely insane.
Third pitch of the night. See you later. Out of the park, Jackson Holliday.
It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating because, like, just to ease my anxiety about this team, when I play MLB The Show, I have all these dudes on the team.
Yep.
Just so I can see Jackson Holliday hit in Camden Yards, I do it on the show because I feel like I'm not going to see it for another month and a half in my real life, and it's crazy. I feel like we've been talking about it so much.
We just lost to the Royals, by the way.
And I mean, but are you surprised? I mean, no. Irvin went 4.
He went 4, and after the second or third inning, and I saw our bats were a little quiet tonight. I honestly hope, Matt, that it's just we're at Game 5. It's shitty cold weather, and these guys have been down in Florida kicking it. That's what I hope. But I guess time will tell. It is early, and I hate saying that, but like I said, same with the bullpen, same with seeing these hot bats down in the minors. People can say it's too early, but the warning signs are there. It's like your check engine light on your car. It tells you that there's an issue. That light's flashing right now, and I'd like to see moves be made now rather than later.
Oh, absolutely. And my father-in-law he wants you to see the comment. He just left, so go ahead and
making my debut at the beach for Fat Boy Summer.
yeah.
I might have to swing down for a day just to experience the Fat Boy Summer in person also.
I hope you can keep up. That's about 6 meals in a day.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I'm a big boy, but that's a lot of calorie intake.
Hey. Your fiance is right though when circling back to baseball. It's a disappointing few losses. Yeah, we're gonna feel like this because we know we should be better, and I equate this. We haven't really even talked about this team at all on air, and we've been on air I think 3 times now together, Tim. I equate this to the Ravens. When you steamroll through people week in and week out, losses are unacceptable. No matter how insignificant it might be in terms of the score, losses still are unacceptable when you have a clearly better team. And this is the result of these winning seasons now, where we expect these guys to go out there and win more often than not. Just like we expect the Ravens to go out there and stomp lesser football teams. We're expecting the Orioles to steamroll the Kansas City Royals or the Chicago White Sox or the Los Angeles Angels, who after Mike Trout have absolutely nobody.
Yep. Nope. It's something, like I said, I'd rather see be addressed now than it be addressed in June or right before, like late June before the All-Star break, or even during the break. I don't want any of that nonsense. Wins stack up quick. I get it. We just need to win series. So, like, for example, tomorrow's game against the Royals is now a must win. And it's game 6 of the season, and we're saying that because we're gonna lose a series to the Royals in our second series of the year. Really, that's not a 101 win pace at home, right? In what's supposedly supposed to be the easiest, first month that we've had in a long time.
Because we got Murderers Row coming up in June, and that leads us right into the All-Star break. And I don't want to be sitting here in the middle of June banging my head against the table because we sacrificed 3, 4, 5 wins at the expense of a controllable year in arbitration. And we could be in a lot more of a pretty spot come the All-Star break. You know what I'm saying? That's going to make me seethe with anger. And it's been a very long time since I've been that passionate about the Orioles, Tim. And I've been all in on the Ravens for the longest time, and I have cautious optimism when it comes to the Baltimore Orioles for a lot of things. But Elias made me a believer. Rubenstein gives me hope, and it's like you're still putting these 4A ball players on the major league roster when you have major league roster players in AAA.
Yep. Nope. It's frustrating. It really is. I think we have about a month before we'll see what direction this front office is going to head in. I would like to see one of those baby birds, not excluding Holiday, and maybe a Mullins or a Hayes, be packaged into some kind of bolster of the bullpen somehow, some way. Will I see it? I don't know. I wouldn't put money on it. It would be nice.
You know who I think would be fantastic in Baltimore, and I know it might be picking the White Sox clean, but if you can package two of those dudes and get Kopech over here, I think he would do fantastic in this ballpark.
I agree. I like Kopech a lot. I've liked Kopech for a while now, especially in this dreadful Camden Yards that was once.
A hitter's paradise.
It was once a hitter's paradise, but now it is. There was I think it was 2 games ago. Who was it? Somebody hit a home run. I want to say it was Mountie. That would have been a home run in every other ballpark except Camden Yards.
Yeah.
It is now that left field, man. Whew.
And it's a little bit of an eyesore, and it took a little while to get used to. I bitched about it on this show for probably 2 weeks when I first saw the design of it, but now I'm just kind of used to it.
It looks goofy. It's ugly. It does.
It's kind of like very minor leagueish for such a beautiful stadium.
Speaking of beautiful stadiums, today was a little bit of somber news, I guess, for the baseball world and specifically the Orioles. Larry Lucchino passed away. He was the Orioles president from 88 to 93. And he was like his presence. He was one of like the designing eyes that he blessed us with Camden Yards and brought us, this beautiful ballpark. And he was one of the visionaries behind it. And he actually was just with Boston. I mean, what he's done for baseball is crazy. Just what he did, being a visionary from Camden Yards, and then he turned Boston into a winning team after how many years of them being awful. So sad to hear, for the baseball world today that Larry Lucchino passed away. He was 78. But rest in peace.
Yeah, I did get that alert earlier, and it's just crazy how not long after Angelos is gone, the Orioles organization and the fans that remember him, suffer that loss as well. It's crazy because he was so integral in designing and bringing Camden Yards to life here. And
30 years later, and we're still the best ballpark in baseball. We still win every poll that gets
and
put out.
a lot of teams like try to model the design of their stadium on ours. And with the open right field, the open air right field, the open air center field. Yeah, it's still a beautiful place to be. It's an expensive place to be, but it's beautiful.
The 3 games that I've been to so far this year, I have sat next to families that are literally not Orioles fans. Last night they were, their son was an Orioles fan, but both games were people that were traveling from out of state to literally just see Camden Yards.
Yeah, it's on a lot of people's bucket list for stadiums to visit.
So
if I ever had the monetary means, I would want to go to Wrigley and San Francisco. Those are my top 2 stadiums. I have no desire to see Yankee Stadium.
San Fran just to see the kayakers chase after the balls.
Yeah. Well, watching Barry Bonds hit home runs when I was a kid and hit him clear into the bay was something to behold. That's a whole other show that we could possibly do because I am 100% convinced, and we talked about this before. Bonds not being in the Hall of Fame makes the Hall of Fame a joke.
It does. He should. I mean, absolutely. We can definitely do a show on that. I'll talk all day about that. Some people might not like my opinion, but unfortunately, when those guys were on the juice, they brought the sport back.
They saved baseball from dying a mistrable death. Yeah, That's exactly what they did.
They rose it from the dead, literally.
Because it almost died with the strike in '94, and then people started tuning in a handful of years later, and all of a sudden, steroids were let's kind of cover our eye, but keep an eye on it. Oh, there's a 60 home run season. Then they break Mantl's record, then Maris's record, then Bond sets the single season record, and then he sets the all-time home run record. And it's like you guys are holding out the Hall of Fame because he wasn't nice to the bunch of the dorks that report baseball. No offense to him.
No.
Like
None
just
taken.
because he didn't want to, he wasn't a bootlicker for the Baseball Writers Association of America. It's a joke that he's not in. Andrew Jones too, Roger Clemens, they all deserve to be in. But that's a whole other episode, which we could probably do to kill some time and another day. But that'll do it for the episode of O's Weekly with us.
I got one question for you, Trig.
No problem.
How do you feel about the handlebar celebration?
I don't like it.
The 12 o'clock boys, Baltimore style.
I love the nod to the 12 o'clock boys because they used to ride through where I used to hang out and where I live.
Ride around our Friday night football games when you were trying to hear play calls and nobody could tell what was going on.
Bingo. All that. But I'm a little bit on the superstitious side, and I think they should have kept the home run hose. You won 101 games with that. I actually like the home run chain from a couple years ago. That was actually, I thought that was cool. I like the sprinkler celebration a lot of the guys use.
I liked it that it was different for each base. That's why I liked it. You had the turning on the water, then you had the sprinkler, you know what I mean? And then when you finally got the home run, it was the full homer hose. And like, I'm a little let down by just the simple handlebar.
Yeah, it's a nice nod to the city, but I think that they need to stay with what is good. And I can't wait to see the sprinkler out. Hopefully the sprinkler returns to left center later on this year. I hope it does. But I'm not a fan of the handlebars. I love everything Baltimore culture, good and bad. But I'm just not feeling that.
No. What I did notice though last night pitching is that I don't know, some two kids started it in the crowd and then our whole section started doing it. Is every time Kimbrel went down into his bald eagle pose, the whole section would time it with him and do it at the same time. So everybody in the stadium was going like this as soon as he went to pitch. It was pretty funny.
Now to see that in the middle of October with 40,000 people doing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would definitely be nice. I would most certainly enjoy that. But yeah, Tim, that'll do it, man. We've been on a solid hour and 3. We'll be back next week, possibly to, wrap up the Royals and the Pirates series. My producer's in the background right now, and he's a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, which is unfortunate.
Well,
because he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan too. He's the only one I like.
If he's lucky, the game will get rained out tomorrow. The Royals play on Thursday, so they won't be able to make it up. And then his Pittsburgh Pirates won't have to face the Corbin Burns, but we'll see.
Hey, that's almost a guaranteed win for us. But that'll wrap it up, folks. Tim, let everybody know where they can find you. We'll be back next week for O's Weekly with Tim Malarkey. Let everybody know where they can find you on socials, man.
I would say hit me on the Twitter, on the X, T_Malarkey. I will flood your timeline with Orioles content all day and into the evening. So that's where you can find me. That's where you can shout out. I'm pretty active on there. Basically all Orioles content. I kind of keep my Twitter that way. So find your boy, holler at me. You'll see some funny stuff. You'll see some statistics, a bunch of different random things. So get at me.
Sounds good. That'll do it, folks. We'll be back next week with week 2 of Orioles coverage.